Hey, it's Francis, and welcome to another episode of How to Start a Dungeon Synth project. In today's episode, I want to talk about some of the ways I separate creativity from work in my process. So for today's video, we're going to create some starting points for songs that I'm going to continue working on in my live streams, since I've been working on this album between my live streams and this video series. So let's just jump over to Reaper and take a look at how I get started on this type of stuff. Okay, here's the project in the state that I left it. And right now I'm up to about 5 tracks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this one's not finished yet, but it sounds pretty cool so far. It's a good idea. It's got a bunch of flubs and mistakes in this Plex channel here, but we don't need to worry about that so much right now. Those will sort of iron themselves out when I'm working on the album, and that's the mode that I'm in when I'm on my live streams, when I'm basically just getting stuff done at whatever rate I'm working at. And sometimes it's harder to have good ideas when you're working like that and you're just trying to get stuff done, but you get it done. You've got the deadline. When I do the live streams, the deadline's an hour and a half. I do 90-minute streams, and if I'm not done in 90 minutes, it gets pushed off to the next one. But I do find myself motivated to finish those things up before that 90 minutes is up, and sometimes I'll go over a few minutes to make sure. Whereas in a video that's cut together like this one, where I can do whatever I want, spend 5 hours on it, I'm more motivated to be creative and play with ideas. And I'll show you here what we can do to play with ideas and be creative and save those ideas for later when we are planning to work on them. So in this case, I'm going to leave this one alone, and we're going to start on a new track over here. I'm leaving some space. This is about a minute long, so I'm going to assume the song might be as much as like 4 minutes, and I'll make a new marker over here. And what we're going to do is create starting points for songs where when I jump onto my live streams, you just work through it and solve the problems that come up instead of having to be creative on the spot. And this can be a very good technique to do off camera too. And the reason I'm showing it is because it's a big piece of how I work on music privately. Privately being when I'm not filming for YouTube. So without further ado, let's pick anything. So starting point, I'll just pick a tempo. And arm a track to record. Pick a sound that's inspiring to me. That part's important. This Mercury 7 really feels good every time. Maris should pay me to say that, but I'm saying it of my own accord. Okay, and then we just go for it. And run into problems like that inevitably. Essentially, the goal here is to just have some ideas like that and hope that some of them end up being appropriate launch points. So what we'll do is we'll make a few more. That one was fine. I don't think I particularly care for it, but I don't have a thing that I call it. It's like a pen thing. Basically, what I do when I'm writing prose or lyrics, poetry, anything like that, anything with words, is I try to do it in pen because I know that if I do it in pencil or if I type it, I will erase it or delete it if I don't like it. And I won't know if it's bad until tomorrow or next week, whether I delete it or not. And there's nothing worse than the feeling of remembering that you did something that was good, but not remembering what it was. Usually you remember it, remember that it was good, come back, look at it, and it's trash 9 times out of 10. But, every once in a while, it's not. Every once in a while, it's fantastic. And you would have deleted it if you had given yourself the opportunity to. So don't. Write it in pen. Force yourself to save stuff. In a software, you can set it to like auto-save every minute to a new file. Get a big external drive, whatever it takes, to make sure that you don't lose your work. In this case, I can just force myself, like, don't press delete, don't end the take. And I'll have it tomorrow, I'll have it next week, I'll have it until the drive goes bad, basically. So in this case, hopefully the album's done before that happens. But anyway, we're going to leave that alone and come over here to the next idea. Let's do this one at 120. It's a pretty standard tempo. It's usually the default. And we'll use the same instrument for now. Get a couple of ideas down with this pluck sound, which is on some of the tracks as sort of our default. And we'll do some with the vibraphone maybe, and then we'll do some with maybe a string instrument as a starting point. Let's give it a go. And we go until we run into something that feels like a problem and makes us uninspired. That was it for me. I don't know what I was thinking. I played a really gross sounding thing. And we'll, go through and fix it later. Next idea. Giving myself some space between these to make sure that I have room to make them into a full song. Marker. Tempo, let's do this one at 106. And these are arbitrary numbers. I'm just picking a number. This one we will do that's a cool sound. Let's try that one. Give it a go. Okay. That one lasted longer before it got to the part that was uninspiring, to the point where I might actually take some notes on it. And in this situation, we'll just go in, look at it, say, that spot actually felt pretty cool. In the moment, I sort of froze and thought, what am I going to do here? And I imagined that, what do we have? An F and a B. And I imagined having some kind of a moment where the B would play around and mimic something that was happening earlier on the B chord, where the B was in the bass and the F was in the top. But I bumped something else with my other hand, and it ruined the moment. To me. Maybe it didn't ruin the moment for you. This is all just sort of introspective. How do you feel about it? But in this case, I'm going to put a marker that says, play with this idea, just in case it's cool. But that's already, I actually see that as 3 new songs. I know that this is not much, but it's enough to where when I'm in a different mood, it's an idea that will complete itself when I'm just working on it. Just say like, oh, well, let's try making a string part for this. And sometimes completing that idea takes like 6 hours, and sometimes it takes like 30 minutes or less. On a lucky day, something like this ends up being, that's the take. We're not adding anything to it. I've released recordings that are, improvised first take things, and, that's awesome when it happens, but you can't expect it to happen every time. So we won't expect it to happen, and we'll go make some other stuff. That patch was really cool, but I'm going to switch to something like maybe like a bowed string sound for the next one. Let's make a marker and pick a tempo. 35 is the number that came to mind. That's way too slow. So we'll go to 140. Just keep, if you get a number that's too small, just double it until it's not too small anymore. Let's do strings. Bowed strings, put it on a different track, strings, and give it a go. Moment was ruined, but I'm going to try something. I still have an idea. I think that I like the idea of doing like a G minor chord here. Okay, I feel satisfied with that idea now that I had a little bit more time to play with it. Sometimes that happens too. You feel uninspired, but you feel frustrated. So you channel that. Just find a way to make that happen. This stuff's really hard to do if someone's breathing down your neck. These are the things that are difficult to do with a collaborator. Things that are ways to come up with the idea that you bring to the table in a collaboration. That, for example, I would spend a little bit more time with, figure out which pieces I like, and learn to play it, and then, bring it to a friend's house and say, here's this idea I came up with. And that, what you heard, is sort of the incomplete idea. It's like the idea without the practice or the learning associated with being able to accurately depict the idea. Usually our collaborators either know us really well and don't need the depiction to be accurate, or they do, whether or not they know as well. And it's up to us to figure out which kind of collaborator we're working with. Obviously, like the magical collaborations are like people that have been working together that really have a great dynamic with each other. And those people often can sort of guess what the other person means when they show them an idea. That type of dynamic takes a very long time to develop usually. So don't expect it to pop out of nowhere. Work on it. Communication. Anyway, let's make one or two more of these ideas and call the video good. We'll work on it on live stream on Tuesday. Next idea, let's do something over here. Marker, and call this tempo something like 97. Just picking numbers out of a hat. No hat. Okay, what does 97 feel like, and what instrument should I use? Maybe something on the synthesizer. That's a cool sound. Sometimes you leave these things on and they're in a place that's cool. We'll use it. Well, that was unexpected, but I liked it. And I think that something like that, bass line to work with from a synth, is as good a place as any for a song. So let's make one more of these ideas. Maybe we'll do one starting from a melody. I'll pick a flute sound. And what we'll do is we'll try to create a melody. And this will be fun because the work for this one will be thinking of ways to harmonize it instead of working from a riff or a chord progression. Let's go ahead and make a place for it. Tempo. 1:15. Just picking numbers and going for it. Nice little phrase. I realized I had the wrong camera on, so we're going to switch cameras and record another phrase. Same key. C minor. Well, I think I could turn that one into a song right now, but I won't. And I think that not doing that ends up being one of the things that makes the final product potentially feel magical, is limiting yourself and saying, this is how much time I have to play. That's it. Right? Half an hour, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever it is that works for you. Work on figuring that number out over years of practice. And it's probably going to change every time you do it. If you can make a routine where you can practice being creative for the same amount of time every week, great. Every day, fantastic. As much as you can. But we also have to set aside time to work on the ideas. Otherwise, they become, a messy sketchbook. And in this case, let's take a look at what I've got. So a song, part of a song. It's 5 tracks, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I think 8 to 10 tracks will be good for an album. So I get to give myself permission to throw away my least favorite ones next week, after I've had some time away from them. Because if I don't spend some time away from them, I'm going to think they're all bad, because they probably are to me right now, except for part of this one. I liked part of that one, and I liked part of one of these other ones. But if I approach it with the mindset that I have to use it, I'll make it work. And a lot of people will also function that way. And for me, that works really well, saying, okay, here's the song. Now, make it sound like I wrote it. I have friends that could probably do that. I like doing it myself because I like writing my own music. But I think that is more than enough to finish the album over the next couple of live streams. And then we're going to get to artwork, layout. We'll do a J card, and we'll order some cassettes. Hopefully they'll look cool, sound cool, and finish the series up. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. This has been really fun.